Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome, dear devotees. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, chapter number 6. Today we are starting. The name of this chapter is Purush Shukta Confirmed. Purush Shukta Confirmed, chapter number 6. We have covered full Canto 1 and Canto 2 up to chapter number 5. We will do a quick recap of the theme, of the flow of Srimad Bhagavatam until now, what is happening, and then we will continue with chapter number 6. So we saw chapter number 1 ended when Parikshit Maharaj is heard the news of a Brahmana boy Shringi cursed him to die in 7 days. That's why he makes the decision to sit and fast till death for 7 days, no drinking water and no eating food. He makes this decision because it was the thirst and the hunger that caused him to get angry and put the state snake. So that's why he is making this decision to fast till death. He hands over his kingdom to his son, and he sits on the bank of the river Ganges, and all the sages, they came to know about this king's decision to fast till death, and then they started coming. At that time, Sukdev Goswami also appears in that assembly at the bank of river Ganges, and then Parikshit Maharaj asks 4 questions to Sukdev Goswami, and that's where the Canto 1 ended. Canto 2 begins with Sukdev Goswami's answers. When Sukdev Goswami starts speaking, the first thing he does is glorifying the question of Parikshit Maharaj. Varyana Ishate Prashna, thank you so much for asking, because it is your question is glorious, it is beneficial for everyone. And then Sukdev Goswami is mentioning the first thing, what one should not do, which was Parikshit Maharaj's last question. What one should not do. One should not do sense gratification. One should not spend the life in only economic development. Why? Because that will not solve the ultimate problem of life, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. That will not be solved by sense gratification or economical development. So rather, what one should do? One should do bhakti yoga, beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam. That is what Sukdev Goswami was mentioning, beginning with Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Now in that assembly, there are many, many different sages have assembled there from all around the universe, all around the world. Not everyone can do Bhakti Yoga straight away. So Sukdev Goswami started explaining. In chapter number 1, he mainly explains 2 things. One is Ashtanga Yoga and the second is Virat Rupa meditation. Ashtanga Yoga with the 8 limbs of Bhakti, and Virat Rupa meditation for people who can only believe what they can see. So the Virat Rupa meditation. But after explaining Ashtanga Yoga, or after explaining the Virat Rupa meditation, he establishes the fact that how Bhakti Yoga, which is Shravanam and Kirtanam, is most easy and most practical. That's where chapter number 1 ended. Chapter number 2 begins with Sukdev Goswami mentioning karma kandis. Those who believe that karma hi puja hai, they believe in good work. So for that, Sukdev Goswami is mentioning that karma kandis, what is the point? The ultimate aim or the ultimate goal of that is one will reach to the heavenly planets. But that heavenly planets is also temporary. So he says rather than karma kanda, bhakti yoga is based. And then another 2 things in chapter number 2 he mentions, which is Paramatma meditators, direct mukti and gradual mukti as well. Attached yogis or detached yogis, advanced yogis or not advanced yogis. So he mentions that is a for advanced yogis, Sat Chakra yoga system, how raising the life air and getting the direct mukti. And for people who are not advanced or those who are attached yogis, he mentions gradual liberation, where a soul goes gradually from the Vaishwanar planet to Sisumar planet to Maharloka, Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, and then he goes higher. When one is free from desires, he will reach to the spiritual world. So that's where chapter number 2 ended. Chapter number 3 starts that until now, whatever was mentioned was all about the intelligent people. Why intelligent? Because they know they are spirit soul. They are not this body. But what about the others? They are less intelligent people. What less intelligent people they are mentioned? They have desires in this world. And for those desires, what was mentioned in chapter number 3 in the beginning was the list of all the demigod worships. People who wants money, they can worship this personality. Those who want fame, they can worship this demigod. Those who want strength, those who want good wife, all these different list of demigod worship was mentioned, and that demigod worship ended with the sloka akamo sarva kamo va moksha kama idaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. If you have many desires, or if you have no desires, or if you have desire for liberation, moksha kama udaradi, one must worship that supreme personality of Godhead only. Yajeta purusha param. How that will happen? How a person who has so many desires, who is worshipping so many demigods, who have so many akamo sarva kamova, that will come to the surrender to only the supreme lord? It will happen only by the association of devotees. And what will happen in the association of devotees? Bodhayanta, the discussion will happen between the devotees, and the transcendental knowledge will be given, and that's how the person will come to the supreme lord. Now at that time, Sukdev goes Sanaka Rishi is mentioning that Sukdev Goswami was a pure devotee, and Parikshit Maharaj, Sukdev Goswami was a learned scholar, pure devotee. Parikshit Maharaj was also devotee from childhood. There must have been some discussion happened further. What was the discussion? They were showing that eagerness to hear more, and because of that, he is mentioning that when the devotees meet, the discussion of the Lord should happen. Krishna Katha should happen. If not, we saw, if the ears are not engaged in hearing Krishna Katha, they are no better than snake holes. If the tongue is not engaged in Krishna Katha, it is like a frog tongues we saw, or the head which is not bowing down in front of the Lord, it is like a heavy burden. We saw that. And then the chapter number 3 ends with the verse Ayur Harati Vai Pumsam. Udyan Astam Chayan Usha, like how the sunrise and sunset, it decreases the life of everyone except for the person who is engaged in hearing Krishna Katha. That's where chapter 300. Chapter number 4 starts with hearing from Sukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj, after hearing from Sukdev Goswami, he was able to fix his mind on Lord Shri Krishna, completely absorbed. He was able to cut off all the deep attachments to his family members. And until now, Sukdev Goswami mentioned all the importance about hearing. So, Parikshit Maharaj in chapter number 4 is asking that how did Lord created this universe? How he maintains, how he destroys. He wanted to know more. Why is he asking? Because when you love someone, you want to learn everything, all about him. So first, he is asking about creation aspects, and then he will ask about the Leela as well. So all Tat, Purusha Avatar and Leela Avatar, all different aspects will be mentioned. Now, when Parikshit Maharaj is asking about how this creation happened, Sukdev Goswami says, I will explain to you, because exactly same question was asked by Narad Muni to Brahma. Because agar creation ke bare mein baat karna hai, who is the supreme authority? Brahma ji, he is the secondary creator, supreme creator, as uh, at least this material world is concerned, he is the supreme creator. So when we want to hear about creation, we hear from Brahmaji directly. So same question was asked by Narad Muni, and that's why chapter number 4 ended, that when Sukdev Goswami mentioned, Naradji asked the same question to Brahmaji. I will tell you the same thing. So obviously chapter number 5 starts with the discussion of Narad Muni and Brahmaji. Up to text number 8 in chapter number 5, Narad Muni's questions are there. It seems you are the supreme, you are making everything without any external help. But we see that you are also doing tapasya, you are also doing meditating. Is there some source above you? And that's how Narad Muni is presenting his questions to Brahmaji. And after hearing the questions, Brahmaji responds, thank you so much. You are so kind to everyone. You are kind to me. You are giving this opportunity for me to speak about Krishna Katha, explain about the power of the Lord. So he thanks, and then he starts speaking that, let me offer my obeisances to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are right, oh Narada, that I am not the Supreme. Lord Krishna is the Supreme, and I am the secondary creator. He gives me the ingredient. I am a secondary creator. I only create after he has created. So that's how we saw the discussion between Brahmaji and Narad Muni. Then Brahma mentions how the creation happens, Mahavishnu lying, all the 14 planetary systems we saw. And then that 14 planetary systems is the Virat Rupa, the From the waist, the 7 planets above is the upper part of the body, and from the waist down is the lower part of the body. So chapter number 6, that's where the Narad Muni and Brahmaji's, the theme, the discussion continues. Now, the title of this chapter is Purusha Shukta Confirmed. Purusha Shukta. So Ukta means, if you do a Padartha Avlokan, like what we have discussed before, the Ukta means, Ukta or Bola or spoken. But Sukta means something very nicely spoken, gloriously spoken. Ukta, the word Su means like a Gandha hota, the Sugandha, very nice smell, Sugandha. Or we have our Bhakti Vriksha, and Sushila Mataji. Sushila. Sila means disciplined. Susila, very nicely behaved, very well disciplined. So that's how the word Su means very nice. Su Ukta, Purusha Shukta means the Purusha is the Lord Sukta, very nicely glorified. These Purush Sukta prayers are very popular. I just did a research on YouTube, Purush Sukta prayers. Thousands and thousands of videos are there about Purush Sukta prayers. They are very popular. It is mentioned in Rig Veda. It is also mentioned in Yajur Veda. But when it is mentioned in Rig Veda or Yajur Veda about these prayers of the Purush Sukta prayers, it is not mentioned who is the Purusha. These prayers are very much similar to what is mentioned in the 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto. And Prabhupada titles this as Purush Shukta Confirmed, because it confirms that all these prayers, who is that Purusha? This Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is the creator, he is that Supreme Purusha, and for him all these prayers are mentioned. And that's why the title is given as Purush Shukta Confirmed. And the discussion is happening between Narad Muni and Brahmaji. All right, let's start with text number 1 and 2 together.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Danvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Dear Prabhuji Danvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. 2.6.1 Brahmo Vacha Vacham Vahnirmukham Kshetram Chandasam Sapta Dhatavaha Havya Kavyamritan Nanam Jihva Sarvarasasya Cha. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma said, the mouth of the Virat Purush, the universal form of the Lord, is generating center of the voice, and the controlling deity is fire. His skin and 6 other layers are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns, and his tongue is the productive center of different foodstuffs and delicacies for offering to the demigods, the forefathers, and the general mass of people.
Thank you. And text number 2 as well.
Hare Krishna everyone. Text number 2. Sarvasunam cha vayoscha tannase paramayane ashvino roshadhinam cha ghrano moda pramodayo. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. His 2 nostrils are the generating centers of our breathing and of all others' ears. His smelling powers generate the Ashwini Kumaras, demigods, and all kinds of medicinal herbs. And his breathing energies produce different kinds of fragrance. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. So until now, we have seen how the planets were created, 14 planetary systems. Now it goes even a bit deeper, that how the clouds, rivers, mountains, metals, minerals, oceans, and all those things are coming. So we will see in this chapter how different elements are created and from where. So like, for example, here it is mentioned, from mouth, different foodstuffs are created. Different fragrance is created, how the medicinal herbs are created, all these details. If we don't have to remember all this, don't try to remember all that, how and when it is created and which particular elements from where which is. If you would like to study that, definitely go for it. All the details are mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everything is available in Srimad Bhagavatam according to our taste. Things are there. But if we are not able to remember all this Virat Rupa or the creation or this how different elements are created, that is absolutely fine as well. As long as when we are discussing this, we get the ultimate essence of this, why it is mentioned. We understand that Lord is so great. भगवान कितने महान हैं. He is the supreme creator of everything, and that should bring the mood of humbleness कि मैं कुछ भी नहीं हूँ उनके सामने. I am just a tiny fragmental part and parcel of that Lord. If we understand His Lord is so great, and we develop that humbleness, and we also understand that Lord has done so much for our desire, and Lord is always ready to help us to progress to this towards Him, to go back to Godhead. If we understand the theme, the concept behind it, also we learn the lesson, like how when Narad Muni is glorifying, Brahmaji is not taking the credit. He is honestly accepting his real position and giving the credit to the Supreme Lord. So if we learn the essence, then all these things, even if you don't remember, it's fine as long as the essence is understood. All right, let's see the continuation of all how different elements are created from the different limbs of the body. 3 and 4, let's do together.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Rupanam tejasam chakshu divya surya sa chakshini karnautisam cha tirthanam strutam akasha sab shabdayo. His eyes are the generating centers of all kinds of forms, and they glitter and illuminate. His eyeballs are like the sun and the heavenly planets. His ears hear from all the sides and are spectacles for all the Vedas, and his sense of hearing is the generating center of the sky and of all kinds of sound. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here it is mentioned that the eyeballs are like the sun. His ears are hearing the Vedas from all the side, or like the tongue or the jiva, the taste plus the water is developed. So like different. His eyes are generating center for all kinds of form, everything that can be seen. So different limbs, kaise banta hai. Very important line Prabhupada picks from this text number 3 is the third line, which is Karnau Disham Cha Tirthanam. The third line of this Sanskrit, तीर्थानाम. तीर्थ, हम जब भी तीर्थ के बारे में सुनते हैं, ये वर्ड तीर्थ स्थान पे गए, हम यात्रा करने गए, we think तीर्थ means the place of pilgrimage, but Prabhupada explains here that the devotees are also called tirtha. Tirth sthan, or the place of pilgrimage, is not only the destinations like Vrindavan Yatra pe gaye, ya Mayapur Jagannath Puri Yatra pe gaye. That is also Tirthan, but devotees are also Tirtha. Why? Because at the places of pilgrimage, what happens? People go and they get the knowledge. They hear from the sadhus. That's how it should be. When someone goes to places of pilgrimage, the association of the sadhus happen, and from association hearing happens, and from hearing purification happens. So Prabhupada writes here in the purport that the devotees are also tirtha, because the hearing happens, knowledge is, we are receiving the knowledge from the devotees, and the purification happens. So that's why when we understand tirtha, it's not only the place but also the devotees that is mentioned. Text number 4.
Hare Krishna. Text 4. Tadgatram vastu saranam saubhagasya cha bhajanam tvagasya sparsha vayuscha sarvamedasya chaivahi. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His bodily surface is the breeding ground for the active principles of everything and for all kinds of auspicious opportunities. His skin, like the moving air, is the generating center for all kinds of sense of touch and is the place for performing all kinds of sacrifice. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here again in detail, it is mentioned about his skin, his mouth, his breathing, his voice and tongue. All different details are mentioned. Prabhupada highlights us the important point to understand from this. Prabhupada is writing, I think it's in the previous purport, that why all these things are mentioned, because that suggests us that the Lord has a form. See, all these things are created before the mouth, the eyes of the Lord. It existed before the eyes were created in this material world, or the sun, or the different limbs are created in this material world. It existed. Lord existed before that also. Just like we have a form, Lord also has a form. So Prabhupada takes in the purport, he is explaining the direction he takes is some people do not believe that Lord has a form. As impersonalist people, many people think God is light, God is energy, or God doesn't have a form. How can Lord have a form? Some people argue, the impersonalists argue that Lord cannot have a form. Why? Because if Lord has a form, then we are limiting, and Lord is limitless. अगर उनके पास दो हाथी है, दो पाँव है, so then the Lord is limited to that. But Lord is limitless. So that's why impersonalists, they argue that the Lord does not have a form. But Vaishnavas refute that philosophy that if we have a form, then why can't Lord have a form? If we have a form, and if Lord cannot have a form, that means we are something higher. We have something which is higher than the God. But the God is supreme. Lord is, He's the supreme. How can we can have something which Lord cannot have? So that's why Vaishnava refute that Lord has a form. And Prabhupada takes this discussion in the purport that the Lord has a form, but it is transcendental and it existed before. And to understand this, this giant, we saw the creation, how Mahavishnu lying, all this, the Lord's form, the creator of everything, how easily that pleased. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, ek leaf, you just offer me with devotion, he is pleased. One glass of water, that's what such a great personality, such a great creator. Universes are coming out from his pores, but how easily he is pleased. Patram Pushpam Phalam Toham. So Prabhupada writes, explains in the purport nicely that in spiritual world, all the living entities, because Lord has a form, they are serving him all the time. But those living entities who had the desire to separately enjoy, they are here in this material world. And now, if we also develop that desire to serve that transcendental form of the Lord, then we also get purified by devotional service, and we also go back to Godhead. So that is how Prabhupada is taking the direction, explaining in the purport. 5.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat pranam to all. रोमाण्य उद्भिज जातीनां यैर्व यज्ञस्तु संवृतः केशासमश्रुनखानि यस्य शीललोहाभृविद्युताम्. The hairs on his body are the cause of all vegetation, particularly of those trees which are required as ingredients for sacrifice. The hairs on his head and face are reservoirs for the clouds, and his nails are the breeding grounds of electricity, stones, and iron ores.
Thank you. So how, the hair, Kesha, Smashru, Nakhani. Kesha means the hair on his head, Nakhani means the nail, and what ingredients are coming from there, that is mentioned. The hairs on his head and face are reservoir of the clouds, and his nails are the breeding ground for the electricity, stone, and iron ore. Where is that coming from? So that is mentioned nicely. Text number 6.
Text number 6. Bahavo lokpalanam prayasha shrem karmanam. Translation. The Lord's arms are the productive fields for the great demigods and other leaders of the living entities who protect the general mass.
Thank you. So here in text number 6, it is said the Lord's arms are productive fuels for the great demigods and other leaders of the living entity. It is mentioned. Prabhupada in the purport writes, if you all, those who have the book, you can see the first line of the purport after the sloka translation. There are many powerful kings, leaders, learned scholars, scientists, artists, engineers, inventors, excavators, archaeologists, big industrialists, politicians, economists, business magnates, and many other powerful deities. This is just the people, the great leaders of this world. On top of that, Prabhupada writes, there are demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, Marut. All these are there, all the demigods. But what Prabhupada is writing? Lord Shri Krishna is the father of everyone. हाँ, बहुत सारे ग्रेट पॉलिटिशियन है, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट है, बिजनेस मैग्नेट्स है, आर्टिस्ट है, एक्सकवेटर्स है, आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट है, साइंटिस्ट, रिसर्चर्स है. People are great leaders in this world as long as the demigods are there. Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, all that. But Lord Shri Krishna is the father of everyone. And even what we saw, all this creation, what is Krishna mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita? Ekam sena sthito jagat. It's just my fragrant, all these vibhutis. I think it was in chapter number 10. Vibhuti yoga. 10 or 11, one of them. Vibhuti Yoga, that means all these Vibhutis Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita as well, and what is mentioned here. But at the end, last, Krishna mentions all this is just my fragmental, my spark of my splendor of my spark, just a little fragmental part se sab sustain hota hai, sab create hota hai. That is not the complete opulence of the supreme. It's just a ekam sanasthito jagat. I think Prabhupada also, yes, it is mentioned in the purport 10.41 and 42 in the purport. The last line of the sloka in the purport mentioned ekam sthena sthito jagat, 10.42. It's just my fragmental part se itna bada hota hai. Look how great Lord is. All right, we'll do one more. 7. I don't think anyone's name is in there. Anirvin Prabhu, आपको कर देना है.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। यश प्रभुपाद की जय। विक्रमो भूर्भुवः स्वश्च क्षेमस्य शरणस्य च सर्वकामवरस्यापि हरेश्चरण आस्पदम्। Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus, the forward steps of the Lord are the shelter for the upper, lower, and heavenly planets, as well as for all that we need. His lotus feet serve as protection from all kinds of fear. Hare Krishna.
So Lord's step, his forward steps of the Lord are upper, lower, and heavenly planets. His lotus feet, that serves protection from all types of fear. Prabhupada explains this line. His lotus feet. कई बार हम भी सुनते हैं ना कथा में, भगवान के चरण कमल में जाना है, चरण कमल का, we have to take shelter of his divine lotus feet. We have been trained, or we have been asked to take the shelter of Lord's lotus feet. But what does it mean by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? Prabhupada explains here, by taking shelter of the lotus feet means we get protection from all type of fear. Fearless कैसे बन सकते हैं? Only when we can take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Many people try to become fearless by different things. घर पे डेड लॉक लगा देंगे, एक्स्ट्रा सिक्योरिटी ग्रिल लगा के लॉक लगा देंगे, सीसीटीवी कैमरास लगा देंगे, so many securities, and but they still can't be fearless. The fear will always be there. People earn so much, have investment portfolios, properties, and have so much of bank balance, but there is still some fear in the heart. People can't be fearless. The only way to become fearless, it is said, is by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And now, when we see that to become fearless, one has to take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. But what does it mean? टेकिंग शेल्टर मतलब करना क्या है? मंदिर में जाके भगवान के जो अर्च विग्रह है उनका पांव पकड़ के बैठ जाना है, और घर पे गौर निताई है उनके बस ध्यान करना है लोटस फीट पे. व्हाट डज इट मीन बाय टेकिंग शेल्टर ऑफ द लोटस फीट ऑफ द लॉर्ड? प्रभुपाद एक्सप्लेन्स इन द पर्पट वेरी नाइसली. Taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means doing pure devotional service for Lord Shri Krishna. भगवान की सेवा करना, उसका मतलब है कि हमने भगवान के चरण कमलों का, we have taken shelter, and doing devotional service for Lord and for the devotees, and that is how we can become fearless. And this is the way, taking shelter of the feet, that means doing devotional service. Many ways people try to become fearless, but they don't know. To become fearless is just taking the shelter, doing devotional service. जैसे हम many times in the temple, some festivals come, Janmashtami आती है, Diwali और राम नवमी, some celebration is happening. Devotees tell us, कुछ सेवा करोगे प्रभु जी, ये थोड़ा प्रसाद इधर से इधर ले जाना है, सेवा करना है, कुछ cooking करना है. We have to understand, when we have been asked to do some devotional service by some devotees, कोई भक्त हमें कोई सेवा करने का पूछता है, that means we have been given the opportunity to become fearless. We have been given opportunity to take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Bhakti Vriksha mein, I know many times, or even when I was a part of Bhakti Vriksha, Mataji or some, the facilitator calls us, Prabhu, आज Bhakti Vriksha में थोड़ा rice बना के ले आओगे? And we say, no, आज busy है, आज थोड़ा काम है. Making rice is one thing, but making rice for the devotees, for the Bhakti Vriksha, and we understand, हमें भगवान की सेवा करने का मौका मिल रहा है, and we are getting the opportunity to become fearless. To doing Janmashtami abhi aayega, so many services are there. When we are doing some services, that means we are taking the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. That is what Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. It means the devotional service. उसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ बस चरणों के देखते रहो और ध्यान करते रहो, चरण पकड़ के बैठ जाओ. We have to do something. We have to do action. When Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna instructed the whole Bhagavad Gita, and then after that Arjuna didn't take the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet or pav pakad ke baith gaye. Krishna, whenever he said, whatever he mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna acted. Arjuna did his duty as a fighter, as a devotional service. So we have to understand that, to become fearless. And we saw in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita also how Arjuna lacked the confidence. He was in full stress and anxiety with tears in his eyes. Gandiva bo side mein rakh diya. Bole main fight nahi kar sakunga abhi. I don't know what to do. I can't fight. Oh Govinda, fully distressed. But when the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita came to him, he became victorious. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhuti, Dhruva Nitirma. Like he became victorious. He regained everything. So how it will happen? When we do devotional service for Lord Shri Krishna. That is the only way to become fearless. All right, we'll stop at text number 7. We'll start at text number 8. Any additions, comments? क्वेश्चन है तो अनिर्विन प्रभु को पूछ लो, कमेंट्स है, सजेशंस है, इम्प्रोवाइजेशन है तो मुझे बता दो. बिल्कुल ऐसा ही सन्नाटा था जब ब्रह्मा अपीयर्ड फ्रॉम द लोटस, देयर वाज नो वन. सेम ऐसा जब ये अभी ऐसा हो रहा है, बिल्कुल ऐसा ही सन्नाटा था. देन ब्रह्मा हर्ड द वर्ड ta. Are you all even if you are all bored of me repeating again and again chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I will still do it. अगर आप बोलोगे प्रभु जी बोर मत करो, फिर भी मैं बोलूंगा, because I know the importance of repeating. I find the flow of chapter number 2 very very beautiful, very interesting. जैसे शुरुआत होती है, same like canto 1. Canto 2 का भी पूरा flow of Bhagavatam is so nice.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. We are looking forward when second chapter finish. We will have Nami Sharanya Day. Second canto finish. Nami
Yes.
Sharanya Day.
Yeah.
So beautiful प्रभु. नहीं आप रिवाइज कराते हैं. It gives us, of course, recap तो होता ही होता है प्रभु. उसके अलावा importance जैसे greatness पता लगती है. बार बार ही we are learning that. बार बार ही we
वैसे भी प्रभु जी सुनने से ही प्योरिफिकेशन आएगा ना. We might think कि दोबारा सुन रहे हैं, but the knowledge gets deeper and just by hearing the same.
वो सेकंड कैंटो बिल्कुल बैठ जाएगा प्रभु, जैसे फर्स्ट कैंटो बैठ गया ना, ऐसे लाइक वी ऑल विल बिकम क्या बोलते हैं उसमें, लाइक वी विल बिकम पारंगत इन
You all will be scholar. Yes. 100%.
by your mercy.
Hare Krishna. If we don't remember all this, कोई याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. जैसे मैंने पहले भी बताया था, हमें याद नहीं है परसों क्या खाया था ब्रेकफास्ट में, लंच में, सैटरडे हमने डिनर में क्या खाया था, संडे याद भी होगा नहीं होगा, लास्ट वीक क्या खाया था, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. बट इफ यू कीप ऑन हियरिंग, जस्ट लाइक इवन इफ यू डोंट रिमेम्बर व्हाट वी एट, but the nourishment has happened, the strength we have gained. In the same way, even if we don't remember how this creation happens, kuch pata nahi chalta, but just by hearing that again and again, the nourishment in bhakti happens, the strength in bhakti happens. We are moving fast in the fast place, closer to the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. That is guaranteed, because we are taking Srimad Bhagavatam, shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, and canto number 1 and 2, they are lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So we are moving towards lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna while we are discussing canto 1 and 2. All right, चलो, थैंक यू. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone.